Well, that's nice and handy. Standby power generation is wonderful, especially in rural areas when power outages can be fairly common. Here in the United States, in the Midwest, about half of our power outages are caused by strong storms. The other third of power outages is typically due to equipment failure of the utility company or accidents involving high lines or car wrecks. The others are just miscellaneous types of incidents that cause power outages. But depending on where you live, you may experience them from time to time, or it may be fairly frequent. The first thing we're going to talk about in today's prep clip is really general use and safety. There are several things we have to be aware of before we use a backup power generator, no matter what style or type it is. And really we have to go through a mental checklist to make sure that we are using these properly, not only for the safety of you and your family, but the safety of utility workers who might be working on damaged or down lines. Before using a generator, there are several things we have to do that include contacting your local power company before any emergencies strike, just so you're prepared and know what regulations might happen or might affect you in your area. Also, an electrician would be wonderful to come out and check your setup to make sure it's safe for you and your family. We also want to check the manufacturer's suggested checklist on maintenance and check over the engine before starting it to make sure we're not going to damage the unit itself. And the most important thing before ever starting a generator is really making sure it's in the correct location. This generator is about 50 foot from behind my house. Manufacturer recommends that it has to be at least 20 foot away, and this is just for carbon monoxide and fumes and not to affect anybody indoors. We never want to run a generator inside a garage, inside a building, or even too close to a building with maybe a window or an air intake could bring some of those harmful fumes into your home. In some of our data, recent events such as hurricanes and tornadoes where generators are frequently used, more than half of the fatalities following those events are not from the actual disaster itself, but from improper use of generators where people have used them indoors or in their garages and have suffered from the carbon monoxide poisoning, often resulting in fatalities. So the final part of this is really switching over to backup power into my house. So there are numerous ways to go about doing this. You can get automatic transfer switches like we've discussed earlier. We can do a automatic standalone unit. But what we've shown in the past earlier clips here is just a standby portable generator. And what I've had done here is the electrician has come out and has given me a plug-in here right off after the meter, and what it does, it goes into this panel, and we need to make this safe and for any type of utility workers. So there are two ways to really power devices with a standby power. One is directly powering, meaning that I take an extension cord or plug the device directly into the generator because it has receptacles on it. So that's one, that's a direct method. It's simple, it's easy. If I wanted to keep my refrigerator or my freezer from defrosting or thawing out in a power outage, that is an easy way to go. The second way to do is what we have right here, is we run this cord from the generator and we go in and basically we're using the house wiring to power the devices that need to get power. What you have to do to ensure safety is have a disconnect. So I don't want to electrocute or cause harm to any of the utility workers while they're trying to get the power back online. So what we have here is a manual interlock. So this breaker in the very top left is what's hooked to this receptacle here that is hooked to the generator. So I cannot turn that breaker on and allow power to go into the building. The reason is because we have a special interlock here, and we have this little device right here that prevents that breaker from being switched on to allow power into my house. So what has to be done first is this top main, it's a 200 amp breaker, has to first be turned off, and then this manual switch can be bypassed or moved up and allow that breaker to turn on and allow power from the generator. That's called an interlock, and it prevents any type or any mistake of me accidentally back powering onto the electrical grid. Next thing, now before I ever apply load to this, I start my generator, I make sure that it evens out and make sure that it's all warmed up, and then I plug in the generator. I will switch this over, and I want to be careful that I'm not just powering on everything in the house all at once. So what we do is we individually turn on the large item first, our largest items first. So for me, what I would do, I would turn on my refrigerator and freezer, and then I would turn on the furnace if it's wintertime and a few lights, and that's all I really care about because I don't have a huge generator to power everything in my house. So I have to selectively choose, and that's part of choosing what size generator to actually use. So now that we've covered a general overview of generators, different types, fuels, and really applications, I hope that you feel a little bit more prepared in making a selection that's right for you. Please find additional resources on our website, indianaprepared.org, our YouTube channel, and our Facebook.